Hello guys and welcome back to Planet 40k Tyranids. So we've got another review for you today. This time we're going to be looking at the Neurolictor, which is one of the new units for the Tyranids Codex. You'll have to mind the mess. I've got Death Leapers glue in here, I've got my Norn Emissary going off here, Necron stuff. I've kind of got a load of piles to deal with here. That didn't sound right. Anyway, let's get on with the review for the Neurolictor. So it's a 65 point model, everything is now on one data card, which is nice, there's no flipping over this time. So we're going to start straight off with the keywords. That will probably be the best thing to start with, I guess. Keywords, infantry, and well, mainly Vanguard Invader. That's the two out of all the keywords there that are important. Vanguard Invader will relate to one of the detachments, which we'll go over in a new section of this video, where we're talking about detachments. So it's an infantry, yeah. That means it's not a character, and it's not an epic hero, so it's one of those things, so it can't be taking enhancements, and you can take up to 3 of them. Cool. Let's jump back up to the top of the data card where we're going to talk about the statistics. It's got a movement of 8 inches, toughness 5, 4+ armor with a 4+ invulnerable save, and they finally put the invulnerable save in the right place so we can actually see it as soon as we do the stats, which is great. Wound 7, leadership 7, and up to control is 1. Would have been nice to have a little bit more OC, but you know, it is what it is. So it's kind of similar to the Death Leaper in a way, who is 5 points more. The Death Leaper is toughness 6, whereas this guy's toughness 5. And the Death Leaper's got a 3-up armor, whereas this guy's got a 4-up armor. And that Death Leaper, if I'm just double checking, is 75, yeah, so it's 5 points more. So for 5 points more you are gaining those 2 stat boosts, but of course it's all about the abilities really. Let's jump into the weapon side of this data card. The melee weapons is all it's got, because there's no psychic attack or anything like that, which is weird because it's a neuro. You'd expect some sort of psychic range attack. Hasn't got it for whatever reason. It's instead got the piercing claws and talons with the precision ability, very similar to our Death Leaper, the Lictors, all those kind of units, very similar. So we've got 6 attacks, hitting on 2s, strength 6, -2 AP, and only 1 damage. The Death Leaper has strength 7 and -2 AP as well, with 2 damage. So again, the Death Leaper slightly is ahead there, for just 5 points more. 2 damage apart with precision is definitely worthwhile against characters in particular. So that's the weapon side of it. I mean, against toughness 3, you're wounding on 2s. Against characters, you're likely wounding on 3s, maybe 4s. And it's only 1 damage, as we mentioned. The AP is fine because they're likely on an invuln save if you're going against characters in particular. And if you're going up against, you know, standard Marines, the -2 AP is fine, puts them on a 5+, and 1 damage is a little bit lackluster. I would have liked to have seen that being 2. Ability wise, we've got loads of core abilities. Infiltrators, we've got, in fact, so infiltrators you can start off on the battlefield when you deploy, more than 9 inches away from enemy models. You've got lone operatives, so it can't be targeted at range unless the unit is within 12 inches, and stealth is a -1 to hit it. Now the Death Leaper has all those abilities, except the Death Leaper also has fight first. So yet again, the Death Leaper is kind of winning this little battle here of the data cards, I suppose. Now the faction-wise, faction abilities, we've got Shadow in the Warp and Synapse, but of course it doesn't actually have Synapse because you need the Synapse keyword. I find that a little bit weird that you've got the Synapse faction ability, but you've not actually got Synapse. I think they needed to be a little bit more clearer with how Synapse works, because I still get comments now every now and then saying, well, it's got Synapse. Look at the faction rules, it's got a Synapse, and it actually isn't Synapse, it's just the ability to use Synapse within 6 inches of a Synapse monster. But it doesn't necessarily clarify well enough what a Synapse monster actually is, or creature rather. But yeah, he doesn't have Synapse as a keyword, but he can gain Synapse within 6 inches, just to clarify. So yeah, oddly, he's got Shadow in the Warp, but no Synapse, and he's a neuro thingy again, so it's weird. Why doesn't he have Synapse? Anyway, let's carry on. Feeder Tendrils, very similar to the Death Leaper. If you remove a character, you gain a CP. Nice, it happens time to time. The more unique abilities is Neural Disruption. So in our command phase, select 1 enemy unit within 12, and this unit must take a Battle Shock test. Just like that, bang. Don't need to get it below certain strengths, like starting strength or half strength. You just instantly say, right, do a Battle Shock test. And that's nothing to do with Shadow in the Warp, which is a completely separate way of making them do Battle Shock test. Now, unfortunately, it's pre-move, because obviously it's in our command phase. I would have liked to have seen this done at the end of the movement phase, because we can at least move 8 inches and then say, haha, do your Battle Shock. So, it's a little bit annoying in that sense, but it is still an okay ability. And then we've got the Psychological Saboteur, which is an aura for all enemy units within 12. If they are battle shocked, so of course that synchronises with the Neurodisruption ability. If they are battle shocked, then it's a -1 to their hit rolls when they're attacking us. And also when we are attacking them, it's a +1 to the wound roll, which is a big deal. +1 to wound rolls for any kind of unit is really strong. If you've got a strength 5 weapon going up against toughness 9, you would be normally wounded on 5s, but you're now wounded on 4s, and that feels like a really big deal. Effectively, it kind of makes you strength 9 at the time, or strength 9 at the time, so it's a big deal. Of course, you need to get them battle shocked in order to do that. There's plenty of ways to get them battle shocked, one of them being the Neurodisruption. So in terms of those abilities, I think the Neurolictors are better than the Death Leaper. The Death Leaper has something, I can't remember it off the top of my head now. In your opponent's turn, something happens. I think it's when they're below starting strength, you can force battle shock. In the movement phase, is it? I can't remember, I don't have it in front of me. But I think happening in our command phase is probably better, and we're literally just forcing it. Instant. Let's get on to this new area of these videos, which is the key detachment. I'm going to call it key detachment. I previously actually planned to go through all the detachments, and I started doing it, and I thought, half of them aren't really relevant. There's a couple that have a bit of relevancy, but you can say it about any unit. So I thought, let's talk key detachments. That makes more sense. That's what you want to know. That's the kind of info we should be talking about. So the key detachment for the Neurolictor is the Vanguard Onslaught detachment, particularly because it's got the Vanguard Invader keyword. Now with questing tendrils, their detachment rule, or the detachment rule, they're able to fall back and charge, and also advance and charge, because they're Vanguard Invaders. So that's going to be very good, because if we go first, bear in mind we've got the Infiltrator's ability, we can then do our 8-inch movement, we can do an advance move and a charge move, and get into a fight with a character. Maybe you lose your Neurolictor, to be honest with you, but we could possibly remove a character there and then, just like that. Maybe not, maybe, it depends really. I mean, we do have the Invan save, so we're slightly resilient, and we've got 7 wounds, so that's okay, toughness 5 as well. But it is a nice, unique thing that they can do, compared to other detachments that don't really correlate to this kind of unit, like the Crusher Stampede, that's monsters, Unending Swarm, that's just our bugs, not really going to do much. There are slight things you can do with the Assimilation Swarm or the Invasion Fleet, but again, any unit can do it, so it's not really unique. There are some unique stuff you can do with Vanguard Onslaught. In fact, the Neuro Node, which you can put on a character, not the Neurolictor of course, but you can spend 30 points, put the Neuro Node on a character as an enhancement, and then up to 3 Invader units can effectively go into strategic reserves after you've deployed, and after you've seen who goes first. So you can forward deploy, you're kind of doing a bit of an anti-infiltrators move by putting them in a certain location. Maybe your opponent's also got infiltrators. You've now denied that space because you've plonked your Neurolictor there. And then you can just do this with this enhancement, pull him off, pull off a couple more units, put them into strategic reserves. Then of course you've got the Seeded Brood stratagem, which you can actually make the turn count as 1 higher. So if you put him back into strategic reserves with the Neuro Node, you can bring him back out from the strategic reserves in turn 2. If you really wanted him on the battlefield. I mean, it's not the best in it, it's not the best thing to do, but you've got the option there. Other stratagems in the Vanguard Onslaught, you've got the Surprise Assault. So 1 Vanguard Infiltrator unit can effectively make an enemy unit do battle shock. Again, cool. This is in your shooting phase or any other fight phase this time. You're going to get a +1 to your hit roll, and which isn't really a big deal because you're hitting on 2s. But also, if the unit is battle shocked, if they failed the test, you're going to add 1 to the win roll as well. So very similar to the ability there. It's just kind of another way to do this ability. But this time you're going to be doing it in your shooting phase or fight phase. Whereas previously it was, you're doing the Shadow in the Warp, or you're doing the Neurodisruption in our command phase. So it's kind of just another way of doing it if you've already failed the first time round. Other abilities or other stratagems that you could use potentially from the Vanguard Onslaught, we've got Unseen Lurkers. Now because they've got Lone Operative, you can use this for 1 CP and your opponent can't fire at range unless they're within 6 inches of him. So that'll give him a bit more survivability, I guess. And Invisible Hunter, you can literally place him into strategic reserves if you wanted to keep him up and running. So yeah, there's lots of synergy, lots of stratagems, even the enhancements will assist with something like a Neurolictor. Let's move into the battlefield role and the secondary scoring. Battlefield role, Mainly you're using him for an enemy debuffer, whether it's Battle Shock to remove OCs, to remove the stratagem use, but also the -1 to the hit rolls and a +1 to our wound rolls. All of that comes quite nicely when it all works out. Obviously when it doesn't work out, you're kicking yourself, it's kind of annoying, but when it does work out, it is really cool. He's also a character killer with the precision weapon. Now, there are better options like the Lictor, the Death Leaper, they're probably better at it, or even your big stuff like your Hive Tyrant, your Swarm Lord with Epic Challenge maybe. You've got better options to do assassination, but he can still do it with precision. Secondary mission wise, I thought I'd throw in a few here just that are key secondaries that he could potentially do. Of course he can potentially do any of them, but really I want to look at these particular ones. Cleanse, you can do the little action on the No Man's Land if you wanted to. He's only 65 points, so you can forego your melee attacks if you want. Extend battle lines, just taking an objective in the No Man's Land and your own deployment area, taking assist with that. Secure No Man's Land, very similar. Area denial, if he's infiltrated into the centre of the battlefield maybe. Engage on the front, so it can be on one of the quarters. And assassination, if he's using that precision weapon. Probably won't, but you can. You can. Pros and cons wise, well, there's lots of core rules. We've had Lone Operative, we've got Stealth, Infiltrate, loads of rules, loads of stuff that we can do with him. Gives him a bit of flexibility if you like. And as far as being a Lone Operative, it's a cheap way of bringing one of those in. 65 points for Lone Operative. That in itself is quite a powerful core rule to have. So the more the merrier with these kind of units really. He's got Shadow in the Warp, which is nice. You can interact with that. Maybe you've not got that many Shadow in the Warp units within your list. He's at least got it. He's got Precision, which you could use potentially for assassination and just character murdering. Enemy debuff abilities, of course, the -1 to their hit rolls and a +1 to our wound rolls is really good when it goes off. Feed tendrils to gain a CP if you remove a character, again, situational. And you can take 3 of them, whereas the Death Leaper, as an example, you can only take 1, of course. Cons, no synapse, really odd. He's a neuro creature, no synapse, and no psychic attack either. I kind of expected some sort of mini smite attack or something, because it's a neuro something, Neurolictor. No fights first, unfortunately. I think it should have had fight first. All the Vanguard Invader units with these kind of Lone Operative, stealthy kind of stuff have fight first, but this one doesn't. Odd. He's not a character, so no enhancements, of course. The Death Leaper is more durable, better toughness, better save. The Parasite and Mortrex I wanted to throw in here because that's another Lone Operative. That is just quicker. I'm not saying it's as durable because it's not, but it's quicker if you wanted to do certain things with it. And even Lictors are tougher and do more damage in general. So there are some pros, there are some cons. My gut feel to this is like, did we need another one of these units? I know I said more the merrier, but we had loads of Lictors. We got the Death Leaper, we got the Parasite and Mortrex. We kind of had a lot of these units already. Did we need another one? Maybe. I mean, it depends how you look at it. A lot of people do like the Neurolictor. At the moment, I'm kind of thinking I'm not sure. I'm not sure yet. So my star rating will probably be slightly lower than yours, because so far I've just found it a little bit standard compared to the Death Leaper and the Lictors. So I'm still going to go high because I still think it's got a lot of cool abilities. But for today, I'm going to go with a Planet 40k rating of 4 star. So yeah, I think you guys will probably push it to 4.5, maybe even 5. It is a bit of a favourite for a lot of people I've seen in the comments, but yeah, 4 for me. You'll have to let me know yours and why down in the comments below. What am I missing? What am I missing? So guys, yeah, thank you all for watching. Make sure you are subscribing on your exits, and I'll see you in the next one.